Welcome to this episode of Green Pastures, and today's topic for discussion is in a family crisis, how does a church shepherd the faithful? And we have a wonderful team here, and I would like to introduce myself as Kantaraj from Bangalore.
I am Lalita Pandit from Mumbai.
I am Sudarshani Pereira from Colombo, Sri Lanka.
My name is Andrew Paul. I'm from Bangalore.
I'm Manon Pereira from Colombo, Sri Lanka.
In a family crisis, how does the church help us to overcome this? And how do you think the church could support in this matter?
In the church that we go, what the Cardinal has initiated is to create kind of family units to be trained as listeners initially, not even as counselors. As listeners, it's called the listening apostolate. So if you take the area where we live, there are about 4 to 5 churches, and each church they have created or selected about 4 to 5 couples
from each church.
And then we have to sort of undergo about, say, 2 to 3 months of weekend training. It's 2 to about 3-4 hours a week, and being trained to listen. Listen to problems. Which is happening in your own parish or a parish which is close by.
But in an immediate crisis, imagine for a moment, I have a family crisis. Where do I look for a solution? And who will come to my rescue to set right things back home? Can you share something?
Actually, first as a family unit, we go to our parents or elders in the family. So we discuss about the matter. So sometimes we can solve the problem within the family. If we can't, we go to the parish priest. So sometimes he can give us a solution, otherwise he put us to the counselors.
So counselors will come to the rescue of the family, they counsel them?
Yes.
Fine. Before I come to the next question there, I'd like to turn here to our Andrew, the youth of the team. I mean, what do you feel, Andrew, that today youth are facing a challenge, both at home and outside? And if a youth who is anchored into church values would definitely want to find a solution for the challenges that he's facing, how do you think the church is able to come to your help?
I feel like it's more of your own initiative. If you're losing the track or you're going off track and you want to get back and get on to your faith, you take that initiative of going to a parish priest or going to the priest that you usually visit, say for confession or any kind of counseling. You go to them and then you seek guidance or help. Like personally for me, when I go through some crisis, I usually go to the priest that I know. So I go and talk to him and seek help from, or I always talk it out with my dad, because my dad and my relationship is pretty strong, and then I speak to him and I try to get counsel.
Wonderful. Sister, taking this question forward to you, how do you feel? Any families approached you for a counseling, and whether there is any mechanism in the church?
Whenever there is a family who is having a problem, either with the husband and wife, domestic issue, or with children, they have to come and register. And then the office calls us and we give them a time.
That's great.
And once we listen to both the parties. If it is between husband and wife, we listen to the husband separately and to the wife separately. Based on that, then we have a joint session where they both are counseled, and we give them options to find out for themselves what is the best in the matter. And this is all with prayer. Once they are in prayer, once they understand what the situation is, they are in a better position to cope up with it and deal with it.
So there is a solution for the families who are confronted with these problems. The church steps in. Wonderful. That's nice to hear that there is something happening. But then We were discussing on a surface that generally what happens when a family is in a crisis. But then, as you see the reality, there are more diverse happening in the family. The families are breaking apart, children are going apart, the families are on the other side. And you know, sadly, Catholic Church is facing a big challenge in this area. What do you think the suggestion you could give to the church today in a situation like this?
The church is the body of Christ. Once we realize this, that, you know, it is from the church we get our nourishment, we get our values, we get our teachings, and that percolates into our families. As you say, there have been a rise in this type of cases where there are family feuds, there are family breakups, which eventually result towards divorce. But even the church in its wisdom gives us a chance of thinking over, praying over, talking it over.
Brother, extending this question to you, how do you think the church can step in to resolve these issues?
So the first thing is, as a parish priest, I mean, you need to identify individuals, couples who can be trained, who can be trained as listeners or counselors first. I mean, it can be 5 couples or 5 individuals. So the parish priest will know, understand, and then select them, coach them and provide training, and then take it from there. So the parish priest who knows his flock should be able to understand who will be the best few couples to be trained in this.
Fine.
I have a suggestion, like if the parish can hold monthly events wherein families come together and they bond with each other more strongly, so that way, you know, trust builds up. So any place where you want trust to be built up, you want to know each other. And on a monthly basis, when you have events like these, trust builds up.
Yes.
And you never know, you may find a friend in the other family.
Exactly.
And who you can, like, you know, you may not be neighbors, but you may be friends, and you can cry out your heart to them, and they'll help you out.
Fine.
And maybe prayer meetings on a monthly basis, because not everybody has time, and it's a race that everybody is running, and nobody gets time to set out separately just to attend church or, you know, do something separately. So maybe monthly thing would be great, because that way at least once you can take out time for that.
Very true.
Yeah, because it's individual help you're doing by doing that.
Yes.
It's a good point. I mean, when you have these fellowships on a monthly basis, at least if it builds up relationships, at least, see, if I have a problem and I come and tell you, at least you will know, okay, I cannot solve this problem. It's too big for me. But I know
in a
person,
situation like this, I was able to resolve. That's a suggestion if it comes. It would perhaps help you to resolve the crisis that you are facing.
Yes.
And then you will probably know a person in the parish who has been trained to handle this.
Correct.
Or maybe has gone through the same thing. And both have the same kind of circumstances that they went through.
As you rightly suggested, that our relationship with the families will build that strong bondage, and we'll be able to interact each other, come to understanding each other. But then today, we should also understand the limitations of the parish priest. With very little parish pastors available in the church, and expecting a lot more responsibility to discharge, and it will be difficult. So what do you think that the church should be able to look at in a micro level? For example, given a parish, and there's only one parish priest, and there are about 150 to 200 parishioners in there, how do you expect the parish to reach out to people?
I will give you an example of my parish. In the Archdiocese of Bombay, we have a very strong network known as Basic Christian Communities or Small Christian Communities, started by Bishop Bosco Penna. He started it more than 15 to 20 years ago. And this comprises of every area into small communities. So for in my community, we have about 100 families. So 100 families have one community which they meet on a monthly basis every month, and in my community I know what's happening with this 100 families, and this every 10 families has one core group member.
Very good.
So I know what is happening to my 10 families. So once in a month when I meet, have a fellowship meeting, and the agenda is first to discuss what's happening. If there is a family which is in need of money, if there is a death in the family, or if there is a widow who cannot afford education for her children,
Okay.
and the list goes on. So at the end of the meeting, we know that among the 100 families, there are 8 or 10 families which need our attention, which are in a crisis situation. Based on that, we go ahead. If we have the finances, if we have within our limits, we go. Otherwise, it is the parish priest. We can go to the parish priest. Supposing if there is a person who needs an operation, the parish priest gives us the funds from the church. And in this way, of course, if we are having about 2,000 families, the parish priest cannot look at every family, but he can attend to this 15 zones or communities, and the task becomes much simpler and easier. Yes.
Turn to you, sister, being a housewife, a homemaker. What do you think are the challenges? What do you think that you can contribute to the family's unity? How to overcome challenges? Suppose you are confronted with a problem in the family. Obviously, you don't want to share with your friends, relatives, well-wishers, or neighbors. You would like to resolve. And after you exercise all the options available and you are at the end of the road, what do you think is the way out for you?
Yeah, now recently, I'll give an example.
Please.
Now recently, my second son's friend, we had a exam, term test. So our son Sachi's friend Kavinda, he's addicted to the phone.
Okay.
So when they went for a football match, my elder son also plays. Now he's 19 and my son and Kavinda, they are 15 years old.
Okay.
So the master in charge has collected all the mobile phones. So this child, Kavinda, hasn't given his phone.
Okay.
He was meddling the phone, and master in charge has seen it and he has confiscated the phone. So after that, he has gone home and made a big issue, asking and forcing her parents to go and get the phone. Otherwise, he would not do the exam.
Okay.
So that mother called me because we are close to each other, and she said, now, this is the problem. Kavi is saying that he is not going to do the exam. Can you ask the sir to give the phone back? I said, how can I ask him to give the phone back? Tell him to go and do the exam. So after that, master will give the phone. So it's good also. When you are having the phone, it's a distraction, you can't study. So even the mother also said, so that's the thing I wanted to happen, but this child is giving me a hard time. So then again, I called on Monday just to check whether he had gone for the exam. He hasn't gone. He's so adamant, asking for the phone. So
and incidentally, sorry for the interruption, this family is also a Christian family?
yes, Christian
Okay.
family.
Okay.
So I take my children for counseling to a lady called Tiny. So then I called Tiny and said that there's an issue like this, what to do? Then she said, I'm in Colombo, bring this child to me. I'll talk to him.
Okay.
So I called the mother and said, I'm coming to take him. So then she said, no, don't come. He will not come. He's so adamant. He's giving me a hard time. He's hitting the sister also. So me and both of us went, and the Kavinda was surprised to see us. Then I said, son, Auntie Tiny wants to talk to you. Then he just looked at his mom. Said, you know, it's my chance I'm giving to you. Please come. And somehow we managed to take him to Auntie Tiny, to Risen Lord community, and she spoke to her. And then after that we started taking, but he went to school once or twice, but he was so addicted to the phone.
Mobile phones have become a big, it was a boon to the humanity, have become a bane to that very humanity today. And particularly children demanding a mobile and getting hooked on to this digital fun. Now, because of the digital age, you could see there is a huge generation gap between the parents and the children.
Exactly.
Okay. Often we think only 3 or 4 generations will make a gap. Sadly, one small gadget can distance the family between these two. Now, because of this, children think they are too smart, too intelligent, and they think parents are not up to that. And there's a huge gap in their understanding. And often they think parents not be able to understand us. They blame the parents for everything. The first person they blame is the parents for that. But then parents, they don't know how to retaliate. They literally, as human beings, we retaliate because we know how we obeyed our parents. We expect our children, therefore we handle them in that. There is a crisis in that. Now, when this crisis between parent and children comes, how do you think we can resolve this?
We can't bring us our children the way our parents brought us up.
Very true, very true.
We have to be very friendly with them, and even the sexual education we must give them. Otherwise, they go to their age group children and discuss those things as getting too bad.
It's difficult. They'll not be able. It's very sensitive.
Yes.
Very sensitive. I understand with this. See, children look up to us for their needs because they look up outside. They see today when they go out of home, the whole world is open to them. The world is in the palm of their hands, and they get everything. And they see their peers, the way they live their lifestyle, and they expect us to support these children. Now, suppose in any case we are not able to meet the expectations of the children, naturally they look outside. They look outside. Yes. They definitely, and that's the time, as parents, we feel our children are gone astray. But the point is, we were not able to understand, as Sister nicely, beautifully put it, the need of the hour is to be a friend than a parent. And we cannot compare our past generations to the present generation. And I think the best person would be Andrew to tell us, how do you think that you were able to come out of this area?
In my case, I would say there's a lot of peer pressure that happens. When I was young also, when I was in school, a lot of students, some of them had phones, some of them didn't have phone. And I pressurized my parents to buy a phone, and I was in 12th. And my parents were dead against it, and they said, no, there's no requirement of phone because, the distance of school and us is not very far. We can just reach you if we have to reach you, not going that far. And so I made up my mind that I would buy my phone with my own pocket money. Whatever money that I get, I'll save up and buy a phone of my own.
Okay.
And I never communicated with my parents about it. And end of my 12th standard is when I finished my board exams, I proudly, to show off, went to my parents and I told my dad, you know what, I had a phone and I was using it for the last 2 years and this is the phone. And my dad, being the smart dad, he looked at the phone and he's like, okay, I thought I would buy you a phone for your college, the one that you asked for, but it's okay. Now you have bought this phone, you can just survive with this phone in college.
Okay.
And it's the way you deal, it's the way parents deal. And I think the way you can't be harsh. If my dad that day would have slapped me or maybe broken the phone and said you wouldn't ever get a phone again in your life, maybe things would have been
You have been more rebellious.
I would have been rebellious.
Your point beyond yes.
And it's the way how your parents, it's the way how your parents deal with the child. The parent deals with the child is it makes a lot of difference. So I would say the one point would be parents need to be friends, close friends to their children, because nowadays children are, like in your days maybe you wouldn't have faced so much of peer pressure and problems as much as we face, because there's internet, there's so much other distraction and temptations that we go through, which I don't think you guys went through. Yeah. And we are not able to talk about it because we think it's a taboo that we talk to our parents about it.
Yeah.
And if our parents are not there, they're not there holding our hands and helping us through the journey, we don't know who to hold hands with. And that's how wrong relationships build up, wrong friendships build up, and addictions happen, and a lot of other things happen.
So thank you so much for participating and your valued suggestions, inputs on this program. Thanks a lot. God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you.